The campus was alive that morning. Laughter, hurried footsteps, and the endless hum of students who thought they had all the time in the world. For Aarav Malik, it was just another day. Same black coffee, same rushed walk across the courtyard, same indifference to everything that didn't concern him. He was the quiet one, brilliant, sharp, but detached. His life was about deadlines, grades, and a future he had planned down to the last detail. Love, that was chaos he didn't have time for. Until she walked into his life. It happened in the most ordinary way, in the library, between the shelves of forgotten books and whispered thoughts. Aarav was sitting at his usual corner, lost in his notes, when a soft voice broke his focus. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" He looked up, and for a moment, the world slowed. She stood there, a girl with stormy brown eyes and a half-smile that looked unsure yet confident at the same time. Her name, he would soon learn, was Maya Kapoor, a literature student who believed words could heal, who wrote poetry on napkins, and who found meaning in everything he had long stopped noticing. Aarav didn't answer immediately. He just gestured for her to sit, and she did, carefully, like she was stepping into a space sacred to him. That day, neither of them spoke much. But something changed. For the first time in years, Aarav didn't finish his coffee. He was too distracted by the way Maya tucked her hair behind her ear while reading. The next few days, it became a pattern. Maya started showing up around the same time. Sometimes she'd ask a question about his economics notes. Sometimes she'd just sit quietly nearby. It wasn't friendship, not yet. But it was something alive. Weeks passed. The campus began to shift with the season, from warm gold to the soft chill of October. Aarav started noticing things he had never cared for before. How the sunlight filtered through the old banyan tree near the cafeteria, how the wind carried laughter from one end of the campus to another. All because of Maya. She was everywhere, not deliberately, but like music that follows you even when you stop listening. Her laughter echoed through his thoughts. Her words lingered long after she left. One evening, they found themselves walking together after a lecture. The air was filled with that soft post-rain scent, the sky painted in shades of purple and gray. Maya looked at him and said, "You know, you never talk about what you love. Everyone loves something, Aarav. What about you?" He thought for a moment. "I love control," he replied, half smiling. She laughed. "That's not love, Aarav. That's fear. The fear of losing control." He didn't reply. But that night, he couldn't sleep. Her words had settled somewhere deep, beneath the layers of logic and routine he had built around himself. Soon, Maya became his favorite distraction. They'd argue about books, laugh over stupid memes, skip classes just to sit under the banyan tree. Aarav, who had always been distant, began to feel. He didn't understand it, didn't want to name it, but he felt it every time she smiled. Maya, on the other hand, saw through his silence. She saw the sadness in his eyes, the weight he carried, of expectations, of loneliness, of being someone who had never allowed himself to be vulnerable. One afternoon, while they were sitting by the campus lake, she asked softly, "Do you ever get tired of pretending you're fine?" He looked at her, really looked at her. "How do you know I'm pretending?" "Because," she whispered, "I do it too." There it was, the first crack in their walls. As weeks turned into months, Aarav's life truly began to change. He smiled more. He started skipping his perfectly structured plans. His friends noticed the shift. Professors commented on his newfound softness. But he didn't care. Maya had become the reason he looked forward to each morning. Yet, love has a strange way of testing those who dare to feel. One evening, as they were sitting in the library again, Maya's phone buzzed. Her face changed when she saw the message. She didn't say anything for a moment, then quietly packed her books. "I have to go," she said softly. Aarav frowned. "Everything okay?" She nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, just family stuff." But he could tell it wasn't that simple. Over the next few days, Maya became distant. Her laughter dimmed, her messages became fewer. Aarav tried asking, but she'd brush it off. Until one day, she didn't come to campus at all. He waited. One day turned into three. 3 into a week. Everywhere he went, He saw traces of her, the coffee cup she'd left behind, the pen she'd borrowed and never returned, the empty chair in the library. Then, one evening, he found an envelope tucked inside one of her favorite books, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. It was her handwriting. Sometimes, the road runs out before we reach where we thought we were going. But maybe that's where we're meant to begin again. Don't look for me, Aarav. Just live. For once, live without needing to know what comes next. Maya. The words hit him harder than anything ever had. He sat there, staring at the letter, his heart pounding with confusion, pain, and something he had never felt before, loss. He didn't know if he'd ever see her again. But deep inside, he knew one thing for certain. His life, calm, planned, predictable, had changed forever. The university that once felt alive to Aarav now seemed hollow, a ghost of what it used to be. Every corner held a memory. The library smelled of her perfume. The lake rippled with echoes of their laughter. Even the old banyan tree stood like a silent witness to the love that had bloomed and vanished too soon. Aarav had always believed in logic, but now he was haunted by something he couldn't explain, a presence, a feeling that she was still around somehow. He read her letter again and again. The last line, "Don't look for me, Aarav. Just live," became both a comfort and a curse. How was he supposed to live without the one who had taught him what living meant? Then, one rainy afternoon, months after her disappearance, Aarav saw her name on a university notice board. Maya Kapoor, withdrawal approved due to medical reasons. His heart froze. Medical reasons. He rushed to the administration office, asked questions, begged for information. But all they said was, her family requested privacy. That night, for the first time, he broke down. Alone in his dorm room, he wept for her absence, for all the words they never said, and for the pieces of himself that she had taken with her. But fate has a way of circling back when you least expect it. 3 months later, Aarav had changed. His friends noticed it. The quiet boy who once hid behind books now carried an ache that gave depth to his silence. He had started writing, something Maya had always urged him to try. His words were raw, filled with longing and pain. One evening, his professor read one of his essays and said softly, "This isn't economics anymore, Aarav. This is emotion." He smiled faintly. Maybe emotion is the truest economy of all. He didn't know it, but writing was becoming his way back to her. It was a winter morning when he saw her again. He was walking through the city square, a notebook in his hand, when across the street, there she was. Maya, wearing a white scarf, her hair shorter now, but her eyes, those same stormy eyes, met his across the distance. He froze. The world fell silent. She hesitated, then smiled, the same hesitant, beautiful smile he had fallen in love with. Aarav ran across the road, not caring about the traffic or the rain that had begun to fall. When he finally stood before her, all the words he had rehearsed vanished. "Maya, where have you been?" She looked at him, guilt, pain, and love all swirling in her gaze. "I didn't think you'd still care." He laughed bitterly. "You changed my life, Maya. You disappeared, and you think I wouldn't care?" Tears welled up in her eyes. "I didn't want you to see me like that. I was diagnosed with leukemia. The doctors said I needed treatment and time. I thought I'd be strong, but I wasn't. I thought leaving would make it easier for you." Aarav's heart shattered and mended all at once. He reached out, holding her trembling hand. "Easier," he whispered. "You think living without you is easy?" She broke down then, and he pulled her close. The city blurred around them. Rain mixed with tears. For the first time, neither cared who was watching. They spent the rest of the day together, walking through old streets, talking like the lost time never existed. Maya told him about her treatment, about the endless hospital days, about fear and hope fighting inside her. "I used to read your old texts when I felt weak," she said quietly. "Even when you didn't know, you were the reason I kept fighting." Aarav smiled through tears. "And you were the reason I learned to feel." Weeks followed, beautiful, fragile, borrowed weeks. They went back to the campus, sat under their banyan tree, and watched sunsets together. Every moment felt like a lifetime compressed into seconds. Aarav knew her health was still uncertain, but he didn't care about the future anymore. For once, he was living exactly the way she had taught him, in the moment. But destiny is cruel to those who love deeply. One evening, Maya didn't show up for their usual walk. Her phone was off. Aarav waited for hours, his heart sinking with every passing minute. The next morning, he received a call. It was her brother. Maya had relapsed. She was in the hospital. Aarav dropped everything and ran. When he entered the hospital room, she looked fragile, pale skin, eyes tired but still shining when she saw him. "I told you not to look for me," she whispered. He sat beside her, holding her hand gently. "You should know by now I never listen." She smiled weakly. "You should have lived your life, Aarav." He shook his head. "This is my life, Maya. Wherever you are, that's where my road ends." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Then promise me something. When I'm gone, don't let the road end. Keep walking. Write her story. Make it mean something." He kissed her forehead. "I promise." A month later, she was gone. Her absence was louder than any sound Aarav had ever heard. But he kept his promise. He wrote, page after page, day after day, about her, about them, about how love can be both salvation and storm. His writing became famous. A small publishing house picked up his manuscript titled, Where the Road Runs Out. The dedication on the first page read, "For Maya, the girl who taught me how to live, even when life was running out." Years passed. Aarav became a professor at the same university where he had once met her. Every year, on the same autumn afternoon, he'd visit the banyan tree with a white scarf tied to one of its branches, a silent symbol of love that never truly ended. One day, a young student approached him and said, "Sir, I read your book. It changed how I see love." Aarav smiled softly. "It changed my life too." The student hesitated. "Was she real? The girl in your story?" He looked at the distant sky and whispered, "She was my whole world." As he walked away that evening, the wind rustled the branches above. For a moment, he could almost hear her laughter again. Soft, free, eternal. And somewhere, in the quiet corners of his heart, Maya still lived, not as a memory, but as the road that never truly ran out.